The return of Acnologia. We have all wondered where he is and why he's not returning to the wall. I did a theory about his whereabouts, but this is going to be a different theory entirely. In today's video I am going to share a theory which is based on the idea that Acnologia will return very soon. Acnologia will most likely make a third appearance in this war, and I have a feeling there is going to be bloodshed when that time comes. When we last saw Acnologia, he was met by Eileen, who pretty much screwed him over big time by using Universe 1 to place him who knows where. So what if he's coming back and with only one thing on his mind, his eyes set on the one who thought she could mess with the king of all dragons? So as for this theory, I believe we're going to see Ursa and Wendy fight with Eileen, a battle that's already begun in the manga but just barely. I believe that Ursa and Wendy are going to be overpowered very quickly since the gap between Eileen and Ursa is way too big, and on top of that Ursa is completely worn out while Eileen isn't. She's barely broken a sweat in this arc. In fact, I believe that despite the fact that they're not allies whatsoever, Acnologia is going to be the one to save Ursa and Wendy's lives. I think he's going to descend right on top of them and effectively switch out with them, with himself of course. Now I don't believe he's going to do it for Ursa or Wendy. I mean, obviously it would be silly to think that Acnologia would save any member or any human for that matter. I mean, he's the most evil force on Earthland. At least that's what we've been led to believe, so we can probably assume that is the case. Okay, so now that I've gotten to the point where Acnologia and Eileen might engage in their second round, I think Acnologia will truly show his might against Eileen. I don't know if I want to go so far as to suggest that Eileen will die, but the possibility is always there, I suppose. I find it far more believable that he's going to bring her to her knees, where she can no longer continue, after proving to Eileen that he is way superior to her. Like, he has no chance of winning. He will most likely take off again, pretty suddenly in fact, and I think Ursa and Wendy are going to be a little lost for words after seeing someone so random swoop in and absolutely demolish Eileen, who is, I mean, they couldn't even land a hit on her essentially. We can only assume that's what's going to happen. So I think also that after that Ursa or Eileen, most likely, not Eileen, Wendy, I'm sorry. Most likely Wendy is going to ask openly, so she's going to ask who the hell was that essentially, and Eileen is probably going to reply that the man before them was none other than Acnologia. We have to remember that no one in Fairy Tail knows that Acnologia, well, that he's been in this war yet. I mean, they know he's a dragon slayer, but they haven't seen him in his human form ever. So I think this could play a very important role, because although what he looks like may not be too important, well, it could be, but the fact that Ursa and Wendy got to see just how strong Acnologia is up close is going to help, because if Acnologia at some point sends to someone like Natsu or any other dragon slayers, and if Ursa or Wendy happens to be nearby, they are going to be able to warn them that this guy is Acnologia and he will fuck them up. So let's say for instance with Natsu, if this happens, we know that Natsu doesn't necessarily go serious mode right away. He will be a bit goofy usually when a fight starts. He doesn't really take much into account when it comes to what's serious and what isn't. Even though it's a war, we have seen him being a little bit goofy, like against God's Arena. He didn't actually bother to fight him seriously at that point. So if he's told that this guy's Acnologia, Natsu is going to fucking explode on this guy, because we know Natsu wants to kill him. So yeah, I think them knowing what Acnologia looks like and how strong he is going to be very important in the future. So I think this is going to happen. Maybe someone else will find Acnologia though, but I think, well, there has to be someone who's gonna fight Acnologia that won't die immediately, so that's why I'm sort of guessing on Eileen or August, but right now I'm kind of leaning towards Eileen, because she did screw him over, whereas August hasn't done anything and he's not really a dragon slayer, which means Acnologia will most likely not bother with him over anyone else essentially, but he will actually try and aim for Eileen, because she has screwed him over. Essentially, she has humiliated him. I guess you could say. But yeah, anyway, that's all for today's video, and do let me know what you think in the comments. And if you did like this video, please do. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe.